Chung. What are you doing in here?
You said to meet out front.
You want a shit wig?
No?
Hey guys, how you doing? Terrell here, Big Gold Belt Media. How you doing today?
Good. Happy to be
Thanks
here.
for having us.
Yeah, got Richie, got Cory. I am excited to talk about this film that I had the pleasure to watch. When I got this, I thought I was going into a horror movie because I didn't look at any trailers, no nothing. I was like, oh, okay. Tail screams from the tower. I'm like, okay, let's go get something. And then I turned this on. I was like, huh, okay, it's not what I was expecting.
A lot of old people have been like, I don't want to see that. And I'm like, I think you're hitting it from the wrong angle. We're talking about a metaphor here. There's
Right.
zero blood in our film.
Richie, I got first off, I want to say, man, your performance in this role was incredible, man. Like you can definitely see the emotion, the range that you had here. I mean, if your castmates weren't there, I mean, this could have been a solo film on its own, specifically directed, but you did an incredible job. It definitely got me teared up a couple times.
Oh, Terrell, thank you so much, man. I mean, this was such a fun project to be a part of, and it like really allowed me to like really access those range of emotions like you were talking about. And that's what really drew me in from the very, very start.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't know what I was expecting, and like I was like, I was sitting that I'm gonna do 30 minutes, and then I watched the entire thing in one go. Shot incredibly. Like I said, I didn't know what to expect, and I was pleasantly surprised because I love me a good coming of age story, a super bad, in any of those movies where we get to see high school actors of incredible range be able to pull this off. Cory, writing and directing this movie, did you have like some personal stuff that you threw into this, or was this completely just off something that you've been working on for the last couple years that you're able to put together?
Oh no, Terrell, this is painfully autobiographical. No one should dive into their high school years with so much with all their heart like I did. I was a very weird, awkward, closeted gay boy in high school, growing up in the North Burbs of Chicago. And I only had one best friend, and we met when we were 8 years old. And he was also a very weird boy with a bizarre sense of humor. And no one else was our friend. So we decided to try and get on our high school radio station, get a show, and broadcast our insane humor to our entire community for a 5 mile radius. And I had a thought about making like a gay Superbad. And I also love Hustle and Flow is one of my favorite films of all time. And I just thought like something clicked watching Hustle and Flow. I've seen it probably a dozen times because it's just such a perfectly written script for me. And I just thought like that's reminiscent of my high school. And I've never seen two gay boys go through a coming of age story quite like this, and it was mostly my desire to make a coming of age story that felt free of cliche, that felt a little original, that felt authentic, and talked about how much high school sucks for everybody, and from finding yourself. And I'm so proud of the response to the film. I never thought people would laugh as hard as they are or cry as much as they do. We just had our screening at Dances with Films, our East Coast premiere, and watching it with an audience was just it was wonderful. It was like, watching people watch gay sports. It was just people were screaming and booing and applause and tears. It was like watching the Bears.
First off, I want to say I've never been to a school that had their own radio station, and let alone enough money in the budget to give kids extra tomatoes on their sandwich. So I don't know what school experience you had, but we did not have it in the budget for no radio station and kids to get extra food. Man, I was like, that lunch menu looked too good. Like,
I went to a huge high school. There were 4,000 kids at my high school.
Right.
So I just think they robbed people on property taxes and decided to give us a radio station or something and a lot of extra tomatoes. But Yeah, that high school, I remember when we were, bringing the script, into production, and somebody was like, "Your high school had a radio station?" They still do. Yeah. It's totally bizarre. But thank God they did, or I wouldn't have found my voice, to be a little cheesy. And yeah, it was also a really diverse high school, just culturally diverse, racially diverse. We had a lot of people who had disabilities, mental, divergence, and so yeah, as diverse as our movie is, it definitely reflects my high school experience, which is weird as hell. Yeah.
It's funny because like I said, when I went into this, I had no idea what the movie was about. But the movie has so many layers, man. Like it's like you had your A story here, your B story, you had this story over here dealing with this subject, and overall, the majority of the story is dealing with identity and dealing with personal issues. We have Richie's character Julien, who we found out is dealing with this this obsessive disorder that plays like a big part on his life, and then him coming out, whatever it seems to play like. It's just kind of, I don't want to say it's not like a serious topic in the movie, but it's kind of like a side thing, like because like the way you have it play out this movie, it's just like, yeah, everybody knows, man. Like
Yeah,
we're moving
yeah,
on, we don't care about that, you know what I mean? Like
yeah, yeah.
uh and it's just funny because like I think it's obviously it's a generational thing. And when I went in high school, when I was in high school, people were just out, like by the time you got to high school, nobody cared. And
Yeah.
by 96, 97, it was still a big deal. You know what I mean? Like it was still like, oh, okay, everybody was coming around with the pitchforks. But now not to shun anybody now, is I feel like that struggle is kind of almost gone a little bit, or some of it is taken out. So it makes it easier for the kids that come in now. Because for the most part in the United States, nobody, I mean, depending on where you are, religion, stuff like that, nobody really cares.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I hope so. I think that was, I grew up on, coming of age movies that were for gay kids were brutal, right? Like, your parents kicked you out of the house. You were crushing on someone in school and they didn't want anything to do with you and thought you were disgusting, or your religion was, telling you you were evil. And that wasn't my experience. And I grew up on those movies and I saw those movies and those movies have been made. So I wanted to make a movie that I think was maybe the next generation of coming of age gay movies, and talk to, Richie's generation, talk to the kids that are in high school now, and talk to my generation out of, a need to feel nostalgia about what that's like, and kind of further the story along, I guess.
Yeah, just to add to that, I mean, kind of to your point, but I think in high school you're kind of getting to that age where you're like kind of figuring things out about yourself, right? And I think it's cool that you can have somebody like Julian where like, yeah, sexuality is something he's kind of coming to terms with, but like he's got that obsessive compulsive disorder, right? And like that can be his main thing. So like I think speaking to a Gen Z audience, like a newer audience, just knowing for them, like yeah, like you can have all these multiple issues and like honestly something like sexuality, which you think would be on the forefront, can just be on the back burner or like a secondary issue. Because for Julie,
Oh, Zoom.
yeah, I know
You
it's something every time, right?
it's OCD or like Bloom's character Cary, maybe that is something going lag again. I lagged again. I caught it.
And we're
I
back.
lagged.
It's
You
all
guys,
good. It's all edited. It's what editing's for.
yeah.
What were you saying?
But just speaking to the complex range of different things that you're trying to figure out in high school, and hopefully there's a little bit of everything in there for like a more modern audience, the younger generation to kind of see.
Julian, I'm Richie. Sorry, I got to get my Richie. You were saying you're like in the Gen Z, so you're what, like 20, 23, 24, something like that. We're probably a little younger.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I actually was born like at the tail end of the '90s. So I like
Right.
grew up with a lot of this stuff like in my first like 10 years of life, and then
Mhm.
like once cell phones came into play, like I luckily got to grow up not as a cell phone kid or an iPad kid, where like you go to Blockbuster on Friday after school, and like you go
Right.
to the mall when you don't have anything to do, just because that's just like what you do when you're a kid. You know what I mean? So I had a little bit of that upbringing. But it was cool to like kind of really jump back into the '90s and like kind of live in that decade that I just kind of caught the tail end of.
No, I mean, first off, I want to say your castmates, everybody that's in this movie is just absolutely amazing. Like everybody played their role to a T. You know, sorry, my blown mind's blanking. Your best friend in this movie, who I wish we would have had a little bit more time with, because I wanted that, but I also realized that that wasn't the story. Like, even I know we can't go into spoilers, but even like the way we end the movie was just like, yeah, we know, but that's not what we're touching right now. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like we gotta, like, that's a separate struggle, because I believe like his family's Jewish, and there was just a whole nother thing. I was like, oh man, I wish we had a little bit more time in the movie for that, because I really wanted
Yeah.
a little bit more, and I think we got that through the phone call in the movie, where it was just pretty much like the confession right there. And I was like, okay, I could take that. I wanted more, but I'm not going to be greedy, you know. Maybe
I
um,
dream of turning Screams from the Tower into an animated, not an animated, an episodic series. Please, not animated. An episodic series, because yeah, this is like it's a huge ensemble cast. There's like 23 characters in the cast,
right.
which we couldn't afford. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but I just, by the time the movie was done, I just wanted to live with each one of them and find out where they lived, and I would just love to explore that because yeah, I think each character in this film and each actor that played them like gives they just give such a beautiful performance, so funny, so nuanced, that it makes you want to find out more, which is probably the best thing I could hope for as a writer, that feeling.
Well written, well written. I rarely get to say that, but really well
Thank
written.
you. I'm sorry you don't get to say that often.
Richie, I gotta ask, like, I mean, how long did it really take you to like really tap into this character here? Like, you feel like it was a while before you got into the mindset of Julian, like, you know, this isolated character who for some reason never has a backpack, which I love. They kept jumping on that joke, which was hilarious.
Yep,
Where's your
yep.
bags, man?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I think Julian kind of just came. I got him within the first couple of days that we were all together, honestly, and I was so grateful for that. I think again because it was such a collaborative experience, and you kind of have, you have like a semi-autobiographical piece where you can kind of draw inspiration from what actually happened in the past, but also kind of just, we weren't actually playing these real life humans, like they were interpretations and all that. So it was interesting to draw some inspiration from the real life person who like, I got to like, know and love, but also just knowing like I'm not actually playing you. I'm playing like I'm playing this role which is based
Right.
on you. But I think it came easy. Honestly, I just had a great time and a great relationship on set with Cary, with David Bloom's character Cary. I think the two of us had so much in common, and we were living together through the process of making this, and like for like a month and a half, like he was my best friend in summer camp. So
Right.
a lot of the times we could just bring the same energy that we have as friends off screen into it, and I think that just made all the difference because we had these inside jokes that no one else knew about. And like that's kind of how it feels like when you're watching the movie.
Oh
And
man.
like I'm watching these two characters and I think it feels real because like we're just like, we're just shooting the shit and like Cory's like, yeah, just say whatever sometimes and we could always cut it. So we were just, we were just fearless and we were just allowed to like have fun. So I feel like it
Right.
actually came pretty quick.
I think the most surprising thing that caught me off guard the entire movie was getting some insight into Mayor's house, and then like it cut to the scene where like just got this black guy just in the kitchen, and I,
Uh,
I
that
was
is
like,
my
I
favorite
was not
shot
expecting
in the
that.
movie. Favorite shot in the movie. Every time I see it, it's just like, I remember somebody saying like, every you only have so much time in a movie. Every line and every shot should tell you who this character is.
Right.
And when we, watch Mare, maybe the villain of our story, if there is one, and find out who her lover is, I think we learn a lot more about Mare than we bargained for.
Yeah, because I'd be like, there's some jokes in this, like suspicion of what they think her life is like, and there's just
Yeah.
no guessing this character whatsoever as to what her life is like outside of school.
Well, it's like when you're in high school, these, your teachers are monsters, and
Right.
imagine them possibly having a life. And when you see them out of school, it's like seeing a ghost, you know? And teachers are freaky people. They're weird, funky people with their weird apartments and fascinating lovers and a life before you. So we wanted to touch on it a little bit, I guess.
Last question, and I'll wrap it here. We talked about on set and everything. What would you say for the both of you was your favorite moment of filming this movie, whether it be separately or together?
Go, Richard.
Gosh, you know, I think it's kind of crazy. I think the moments like in between filming, I think were just some of my favorites. Like we were strengthening the bonds off screen by the second. And like, me and David threw a whole party for the cast and crew and everybody showed up on their day off. You don't have to do that, but like that's what kind of a cast and a crew that we were, like we're going to the Chicago Art Institute, we're going to the Cubs games like in between our off time and like just fully immersing ourselves in like Chicago culture and like the John Hughes world that we draw a lot of inspiration for.
Right.
And I think we were just having so much fun the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, God, I just enjoyed the cast so much. It was like my first time being on a set where I was like the dad. I was like 46 and everybody under me was younger. But to watch these boys be make their radio show in their shit wigs was, a little bit of nostalgia.
I hit
And
that dump button.
thank you. Everyone should carry a dump button and a shit wig.
Right.
And I just to watch. I don't know if Richie and David know how good they are. Richie was like 22, just out of NYU, just out of COVID, and this was like all of our first movie out of like lockdown. It was just amazing to be doing what you love and to kind of give everybody the room and the space to do what they do best. And watching those boys just like live in the inside joke. I knew we were like making something unique, something authentic. So that was a miracle.
Absolutely. Like I said, I really enjoyed the movie. It's definitely become this already has the signs of cult classic on it. I can't wait till it comes out, digitally, Blu-ray. I definitely got to put this on my shelf and show it to friends and family. Well written, well directed, incredibly shot. The acting, Richie, you and the crew was incredible. I was never out of the zone in this movie, in the realm of this movie for 1 second. It was really well done. Really
That's
well
awesome.
done.
Thank you so much.
No
Yeah,
problem.
Terrell, that's the best review we've got. Thank you. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Like I said, I'm already thinking about watching it again, but I really appreciate you guys for doing this interview with me today. I appreciate your time. Like I said, I hope we can do this again. Whatever projects you guys are working on, I already know you're going to kill it.
Sweet. Thank you.
Love to you.